kind of came into your own last year on the mound. What kind of propelled that transition? Because I know Coach has kind of talked about, especially that second year at UNC bump coming into this year, and kind of what mindset are you using to approach this season?
Yeah, I feel like as the year went on last year, just a lot more confidence. Coming from a junior college to a place like North Carolina, like you kind of expect some bumps along the road. I was trying to be too perfect with the competition that we were playing, and just kind of learn that I can just go out there and attack with my stuff and have success through the middle of the plate, and just kind of built on that going into this fall. So just really my confidence has climbed, and being in the league for a year, like I know what I'm getting myself into. So going into every weekend or whatever situation that Coach Forbes and Coach Gaines trust me, and like I know what to expect this year. So just a comfort level and confidence that I have this year.
Jake, what did it mean to you to be named one of the captains?
It was awesome. For your teammates and coaches to trust you with that role, it means a lot. So I was glad to take it on, and I'm excited to see what it brings this year.
What did Coach Forbes tell you about sort of the responsibilities that entail with wearing the C?
We've had a couple conversations about it along the way, and you know, I'm really good friends with a lot of guys on the team, and really with being a leader, some of those responsibilities or having hard conversations with some of those guys if it has to come up. Luckily, I haven't had to do that. So, but some of your best friends, you gotta be able to have those hard conversations with them, and that comes with leadership. So we had a lot of conversation about that.
What's it like working with Stevenson this year?
Oh, he's really talented. It's been good getting to know him, and like Coach Forbes said earlier, I was around him this summer, and I did that on purpose. And it's been a lot of fun to see him grow and get better, and just really excited to see what he can do this year. And I know Parker Haskin has helped him a lot. You know, it's a little different pitcher catcher. Obviously, there's a relationship, but seeing Parker Haskin come in as a transfer and kind of take on leadership with the catchers as well has been awesome to see. I know he's helped him out a ton. Like I said, just an ultra talented kid, good kid, fun to be around. So excited to see what he does this year.
Just to follow up on Stevenson, how does he frame pitches, and how is his receiving and controlling the running game?
Exceptional job with it. I mean, his arm is what stands out the most. Heard a lot about him coming in from Coach Gaines, and see him hit over the summer. He can obviously hit very well, and you just wait till you see his arm. Just something that really stands out, and should definitely help from the pitching standpoint this year, be able to control the run game, and just a really talented kid. So it's been a lot of fun to watch him.
What is the leadership aspect of a guy like you? Year two, you've got a ton of freshman arms, new guys in. Just sort of, you named captain, as Michael was talking about. Just sort of walk us through your process of leading all these young guys and being in that position of being the vet now.
Yes, sir. Just being like the journey I've had, Wilmington, getting cut there, going to Walter State, just trying to help them learn quicker. Just kind of some stuff I've learned along the road. How can I help those guys get through those bumps and stuff a little quicker and help us win? So just being around them in the summer, getting to know them sooner, trying to be around and really just kind of give them what the expectations are like for the program and what it's like to pitch in the ACC. A lot of those guys are going to pitch a lot of innings for us, so trying to make that learning curve a little smaller for them and get them ready to play. So, what does
a Friday starter captain Jake Knapp tell the Jake Knapp that was cut by UNC?
That would be an interesting conversation. I don't know. Just be like glad I didn't give up. You know, there were some times after Wilmington at Walters, like, am I doing the right thing? So just that I continue to stick with it, and I'll be proud about that. So,
Jake, what have been some of the wow moments for you with the freshman pitchers? Like what has stood out from some of these guys that you've noticed already?
It would be an injustice to the whole class. I mean, you could talk about all of them. There's guys that those guys that come out with like Boston Flannery's 96, 97. Like, I wasn't like that at that age. They're very impressive for their age, and they all bring something a little different to the table. So different personalities, different styles of pitching. very talented, and I mean, you could talk about them forever. Be excited to see what they do for us this year and in their UNC careers. It'd be a special group.
Do you feel like the fall season, obviously every year it's important, but particularly with this team with so many new people via the portal and freshmen, do you think it was even more important this year to just play some games together and get that chemistry going?
For sure. The coaches threw us out there a ton. That was primarily what we used our 20 hours for in the fall. We scrimmaged a ton and a ton of competition. So pushing the older guys that came back, we didn't have, we were getting pushed, challenged for our jobs, and just being out there playing and being around each other. It's a great group to be around. Spent a lot of time here in the locker room and in the players' lounge here, even away from the field. So just getting to know those guys, especially off the field, I think that means a lot in the locker room and going into the season. So the fall was great. The guys that came in fit in unbelievably well. Just excited to see what they bring in the spring.
And
How
just for clarification, when were you named captain? Was that just like a couple weeks ago, or was that in the fall?
At the end of the fall.
At the end of the fall.
How are you enjoying being able to utilize the TCS? Is that what you guys are calling it?
I don't know what it stands for. We still haven't figured it out. So if any of y'all know, want to fill me in, that would be awesome. But it's been a little different. So obviously getting ready for the season. The big part is going out there and facing hitters and just getting ready to compete. We've been in there a little bit. Don't want to get too nitpicky with a lot of stuff right now, but there's a couple changes that I've made and a couple other people have made, and it'll be interesting to see how they utilize it during the spring. But more excited for maybe after the season and in the fall. I think when you have a little more time to play around with it as opposed to go out and compete. But it's been awesome. Awesome setup. I've had to learn more about all the numbers and that stuff just to understand it, but it'll be really interesting to see how it works out. It's been awesome.
Jake, so there was a lot of changes in the defense behind you. Can you talk about what you've seen from the defense, since Carolina always talks about pitching and defense?
The only thing I'll have to say is it's going to be easier for the pitchers. Just trusting the guys behind you. I think we have the best outfield in the country. Whoever's out there, Honeycutt, D'Onofrio, Pat, Casey, whoever it might be, like someone hits a fly ball and it's in the park, it's getting caught. In the infield, I mean, guys are sure-handed. It just makes our job a lot easier. You can attack, pitch to contact, and just knowing that those guys behind you are there to make the plays, it makes pitching a lot easier.
Jake, going back to Jordan's question, so much has been made of Wake's pitching lab over there in Winston. Like, have you felt like that maybe you guys were behind the curve a little bit with not having one of those facilities to get in? Like, everybody, loves them up so much for having the pitching lab. Like, what are your thoughts on that, to finally have one? And did you feel like you guys were behind in that area?
I wouldn't say we were behind. I think it's almost more of a recruiting tool. But the knowledge that Coach Gaines and Coach Howell have, like, it's irreplaceable. The technology can say what it says, but those two guys have been around the game and are so smart. Like, I don't feel like stuff has really changed since we've gotten it. It maybe just shores things up a little quicker, but the knowledge that those two guys have has been unreal to be around, and obviously it helps. There's some stuff like the slow motion cameras and stuff. Like, you can't slow it that far down on an old camera, but I think it'll be cool to see how, like Coach Forbes said, it's been mostly Coach Howell with those numbers, how he kind of attacks it. And, but I wouldn't say we were behind.
Okay, fair enough. What's the data point in there that interests you the most, just with your game? Like, is there something you focus on or have been intrigued by more than anything else?
The force plate mounts, that stuff's like new to me. So been around the TrackMan and that stuff. We've had a lot of it for a while. So just seeing how the force plate mounts work and how are you getting down the mound when you're releasing the ball. I don't fully understand all this stuff yet, so it's hard to even talk about. But that part of it will be probably the most intriguing to me.
Jake, staying with the numbers, how much do you, as a pitcher in your own game, rely on the numbers?
Not a ton. It's more of just like how to utilize your pitches. So if I have a high carry fastball, like in the past, I've always been taught to pitch down in the zone. Like, you'll have success down in the zone, but the numbers say that my fastball would play better up in the zone. So just stuff like that. But as far as going into a game, I mean, you just pitch to your strengths and just attack the zone, and need strikes or strikes, and hope the hitters get themselves out.
Yeah, I thought Coach was gonna mention that I was in the running for the leadoff spot, but I guess I haven't gotten there yet.
That's the secret.
So last season, it was the handmade. That kind of bothered you all year, didn't it? And how do you feel now?
I mean, yeah, it was tough coming back. It was just happened at a tough time, you know, but truly now I look at it more of a blessing, you know, like I've learned a lot since then, and has allowed me to grow as a player. Now I'm completely healthy. And
How did you learn? How did you learn from it?
I realized that there's a lot more things in baseball than just the physical aspect. Like mentally, I felt like sometimes I was kind of holding myself back a little bit, and just realizing that and kind of working on that and realizing that that was my biggest step as a player, and that was what was holding me back. So I've been able to grow a lot, having guys like Parker Haskin now around that help a lot with that, and really putting an emphasis on it here as a team has helped out a ton. And I think it could help a lot of us out.
As a guy that relies on timing and then not being able to do that, just sort of walk us through the mental aspect of how do I continue to improve when I can't do what I'm trying to improve on physically.
Right. Well, I mean, it's tough, obviously, but from what I've kind of realized that timing comes a lot from freeing myself up, and as long as I'm free and I'm relaxed in there, I know my timing's gonna be there. I know my swing's gonna be there. And it's just relying on that instead of thinking about 10 different things that I can't control. Like just focusing on the one thing I can't control, and that usually clears up a lot of that issue.
So a couple shots you hit over the batter's eye out there. Y'all ever walk out there and say, yeah, that's it right there, that window's mine?
No, I haven't, but it's pretty cool when it does happen, though.
Alberto, can you talk about how the baseball team works on nutrition and sleep and recovery to perform at a peak?
Right. Well, Coach Ford puts a huge emphasis on it, and we have a great nutrition and Miss Allison, and she's helped us out a lot with the training table now. It gives us a meal during the day where we can rely on it, and I'm always healthy. And if we can just call her whenever, and she'll help us out with what meals we need to have to fuel us outside of the stadium. They always have protein shakes, always have like snacks that we should be eating. And with sleep, we have recovery shakes. I mean, we have everything here. It's an absolute blessing to be able to be at a place like this that helps us with all that stuff so we can be the best athletes that we possibly can be.
How do you feel like your defensive game at first base is at this point?
I feel like it's gotten a lot better. It's definitely helped out a lot, losing a little bit of weight. I feel like I can move a little bit better, have a little more mobility over there, and I mean it's just kind of enjoying it. A lot of competition over there, and just enjoying the fact that we're all out there doing the same thing, just trying to help this team win.
Had you played first before coming to Carolina?
Yes, I've played my whole life. At Walter State, I played first and left, but before that, it was just first base my whole life.
How have you gone about maybe losing some weight, but also keeping the strength? Because I think Scott said you're as strong as you've ever been. Like, what does that balancing act look like for you?
Well, we just kind of over the summer we realized that some of my weight wasn't just all muscle, so we just cut that out. I got on a pretty strict diet. It wasn't very fun, but
Right.
but it was just able to help me out a lot. I realized that was what I needed to do to be able to help this team as much as possible, and so by doing that, it's just made me feel a lot better. Made me realize that could be holding me back as well.
How strict was the diet? Like, how long what were we talking about here?
It was about 7 weeks. There was no sugar in my diet at all. So it was probably maybe 10 grams a day, maybe. And it was just chicken rice every single day, almost every meal. Eggs in the morning, oatmeal, but like nothing. I didn't eat out once, like I couldn't. And then now it pays off.
Did you have like a donut after that?
I did. We so in the fall when I came back, the only time I'd really like kind of like let myself go was whenever like after scrimmages, my roommate and I always got a low-cal ice cream.
Nice.
Kind of make it feel a little bit better.
I steal that from my wife too.
What'd your parents say about that? Don't they have the restaurant?
Yes, they do. Well, I wasn't around, so that kind of helped out. That wasn't eating the restaurant food.
Right. Don't they
Um,
usually send supplies up?
No, they did. I was in Florida though, so
Okay.
I was far away from home, and just I've always been able to cook on my own. Obviously, I learned a lot from the restaurant, so it was just kind of learning what I needed to cook and what I needed to have in order to be able to make the change.
Because you
What
even
was,
stay
the,
away
what,
from
was, what was the one food that you missed during that process that you thought that you might miss out on?
Obviously, like Mexican food, like burritos, enchiladas. I love them. Been around my whole life, but I mean, every once in a while, everyone needs a little ice cream, and I'd contemplate doing it, but I had to stay away for that time, and I knew it would be good for me.
Could you even like look at chicken and rice afterwards, or were you just like off it forever?
I switch up the flavors, so that's what helped me out a little bit. So I've kind of learned a lot more about cooking, and watching like Gordon Ramsay and stuff like that. That's helped me out a little bit.
You a big cooking show guy?
Now I am. I mean, I didn't have anything else to do, so I had to figure it out.
Alberto, can you talk about what it's like to see announced captains in Jake Knapp and Jackson Vandenbrink?
I mean, I think it's great. They're great leaders on the team. We all voted them as our captains, and I mean, two guys that are just hard nosed, both from a junior college. Obviously, I have great respect for that. And there's great guys, great leaders, and I think they're gonna push this team, and they're just great to have at the top, leading us.
Alberto, what's it been like going up against some of these freshman pitchers in live events?
I mean, obviously they're really good, really talented stuff, but at the end of the day, I made a joke to Coach Weir's yesterday, like, Coach, they're still freshmen, like, we still got to put them in their place. So it's been good, like, being able to give them feedback. But I mean, I'm never gonna tell them, but they're super talented. I mean, I've never seen pitchers the class this good ever. So really excited for what they can do, and I know that they're gonna go out there and compete every single day.
What's it like having number 7 back running around out there?
I mean, it's pretty nice. It's pretty relieving knowing that anything that hit the center field is an out. Obviously, whenever you're on the other team in an inter squad, it's not that fun. Right. But I mean, it's great. He's a great guy, a great captain, or a great leader, and I think he's gonna have a phenomenal year this year.
Flip it around when you're in the batter's box and those guys are on the bases. How much easier does that make it?
Yeah, it's so much easier. I mean, it takes the pressure off knowing not only the guys that are on the base, but the guys behind me. I mean, our lineup 1 through 9 is phenomenal, and just takes pressure off of all of us and just lets us play free. And I feel like that's going to be what makes it the most dangerous lineup that we've had.
Anything else, Alberto?
Great stuff.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Vince, can you talk about the struggles with the back last season, how frustrating that is, and how you're doing now?
Yeah, obviously it's not fun coming out, especially at that time of the year. But something kind of had to do, and you just try to be there for your teammates, be the best teammate you can during that time, and just try to figure out a way to help them win. And unfortunately we lost that regional, but right after that, try to get back to work. There's kind of 2 ways to go about it. I felt like you could really work hard and do the rehab right, and get back as better, as best as you can, or you could kind of just wait to get healthy. So I chose to put my head down and get to work on that, and came back in the fall, felt great, and looking forward to see what the team can do.
How meaningful has it been to see Mac back here training, and as Coach Forbes said, sort of giving you some advice for coming back from some off time?
Yeah, he's a great friend. Was a great player here, great teammate. So just talking to him, it's great catching up. Great talking baseball. Hearing what he's learned so far, and just kind of relaying information back and forth between each other has been great. He's back there right now hitting, just taking a few swings with him earlier. But it's good just to catch up with those guys.
Vance, what are your personal goals for this season? I know it was a heartbreaking end of last season for you, but what are you looking towards personally? I know last season you cut down your strikeout percentage, increased your walk rate. So what does that look like this season?
Yeah, I think it's, at least I try to focus more on like the team goals. I think we have one goal, and that's win a national championship. Personally, I think, if we get to that goal, a lot of guys, including myself, will have done like, just kind of like done our part, helped out, and, any way we can, and helped us win.
Vance, was the back the first injury you've suffered where you've been out for a prolonged period of time?
Yeah.
What was kind of the mental process of kind of working through that to try and get back?
At first it was tough. Hearing you can't, finish out the year, that's not fun for anybody. But it's more of had a good support group talking to me daily, just talking about like what you need to do to get back, and those types of things, and just thinking about it and the positives. It could be a blessing in disguise. It sucks right now, but looking in the future.
What are your emotions coming into the season, knowing that might probably your last season, and you'll probably be a first-round draft pick in June? A lot of things coming up for you.
Yeah, this is the spot you want to be in, the spot you've worked your whole life for. You want to acknowledge that. You don't want to kind of deny that, but also, this is the fun part. You put all the work in prior, and now you get to go out and play with your boys and just kind of have a lot of fun.
Vance, along those lines, is there any sort of conversation you have with yourself or thing that you do to where you say, maybe I want to try to savor this a little bit more because this might be the last ride? Is that any sort of a thought process? Just anything around here, not just baseball?
100%. Every year it's special being with all these guys, but whenever you look at it in the sense of this could be your last shot, you want to soak it all in, not miss a day, stay present. So that's really what I've been trying to do, and I know a ton of other guys have been doing too. So I think it's really important just to kind of be where your feet are. We always talk about that and stay present.
Sort of building off that a little bit, last year obviously a disappointment, but what positives can you take from last year as a whole? Silver linings, I guess, going into this year as far as you personally.
Yeah, the amount of adversity, personally, and as a team, I think too. I felt like kind of week in, week out, we were hot, we were not. Just depending on the weekend, we were playing well, we weren't. So I think returning all these guys, I think all of us have been in this spot. We've gone through this adversity. We've played bad at times, we've played great at times. So I think just being able to balance that and having all these experienced players will really help.
Do you feel like you learned a lot about the game, about the team, your teammates having to watch, being in the dugout, having to watch it, and what did you learn the most?
For sure. I think just the love for the game, honestly. Just not being out there and not being able to go, it just kind of opened your eyes a little bit to, don't take it for granted because, in a blink of an eye, it can change like that.
Vance, there are 4 other ranked teams in the preseason poll in this state, and you have road games against all 4 of them this season. Do you even allow yourself to look ahead to those potentially really important games in March and April, or are you just focusing on Wagner right now?
I'm not really focusing on anyone right now. To be honest, I think we're just taking it day by day. But you definitely have those in-state rivalries circled on the calendar, and it's always fun to. I personally, playing Wake and State and Duke away, I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Vance, how patient did you have to stay in terms of starting back? Like, when did you start back to doing stuff?
Yeah, early in the fall. It was a progression of hitting and throwing and running and all those things. It took a few weeks, but just gotta be patient with it. And Terry Joe did a great job of aligning that.
And at the end of the year last year, like at the ACC tournament and stuff, like when you were in uniform in Terre Haute, like were you in pain? It's okay if you were.
It was a while ago. I was probably getting over it a little bit, but it definitely was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
60-yard dash winner on this team.
Me.
How about the mile?
Probably Owens Johnson. He can move.
So who we putting in the blocks? Cost, D'Onofrio, and you? Is that
Yeah.
fair?
You know Madera in there too.
You know question.
Vance, with it being your tentative final season, has Mac given you any advice on kind of taking the next steps or just savoring that time here?
You know, just talking to not just Mac, but other people too about how they went about it. Just really trying to soak it all in, just trying to, you know, help the team win in any way you can, you know, and staying present throughout. So I think just hearing, you know, other people who have gone through it is a huge help, just to, you know, really take your mind off it and then just get back to focus.
Vance, historically, you've always talked about being a lead by example type of player. Can you talk about what it's like having two JUCO bandits be captains for the team, and how that might take a little pressure off of where people would expect, you know, potential first-round draft pick to be the leader of the team? How does that help your perspective of the clubhouse and your role?
Yeah, no, those two guys, they're about as gritty as you can get. They're the definition of leaders, definition of captains, and those are guys that, you know, you want in your corner for sure. But, you know, I think a lot of us lead in different ways, you know, go about our business in different ways. So I think, you know, the younger guys can pull from each person.
Vance, there's some new faces on the pitching staff. Just from the hitter's point of view, who stood out to you and been maybe the toughest guy you faced in the line that he's behind?
For me, the toughest at bat since I've been here is Will Simmons. I can't figure him out. But, you know, I've heard, you know, Alberto and Knapp both, they've talked about how talented those freshman arms are, and it's no joke. You know, they're really talented. So I think it's important to kind of, you know, just let them go out there and do their thing. And, you know, hopefully it continues in the preseason and in the season.
Vance, everybody talks about Luke's arm, but are you fast enough to beat him on the base pass, or has he caught you a few times, or what's going on with that?
Oh, like getting thrown out?
Yeah.
I haven't been thrown out by him yet, but every time he always says don't run, so.
What's the weekend rotation look like behind that?
That's not my decision to make.
What would you say? Who's in the mix?
I think probably Folger Boaz in the mix. Maybe, you know, Ben Peterson's in the mix. Maybe DeCaro. Maybe a couple other people like that. But like I said, I'm glad I don't have to make the decisions.
When you look at Luke, a true freshman coming in with a decent amount of hype around him, does he remind you of you a couple years ago? Are you sort of like in his ear giving him some advice from your freshman season?
A little bit. You know, we talk a good bit. I kind of, you know, went towards him a little bit at the beginning. I was here this summer, so you know, we both just were kind of swinging a little bit together over the summer, and, you know, just talking, going out to eat and stuff like that. But you know, he's talked to me about, you know, how to handle expectations and all these things. And, you know, I just kind of relay the information that I've been told, and, you know, I think that's helped him a little bit. You know, I mean, the biggest thing is just have fun. So I think a guy like that, you know, all the talent in the world, just really go out there and just try to win.
Coach Forbes mentioned how vocal Luke is from the catcher spot. Does he remind you of Tomas in that way?
A little bit less manly, but yeah.
Vance, team chemistry is so important. Are there any few guys you can kind of pick out to be the like Brady Manic-esque glue of the clubhouse?
Yeah, it could be like a Parks Harbor kind of guy. You know, Shea Sprague, people like that, that are new, but, you know, mesh unbelievably well with all of us, and kind of have a different sort of sense of humor maybe, or just something like that everyone kind of gravitates towards, but, you know, it's a little bit different.
Vance, has there been a moment or something you've done, whether in the fall or recently, where it's been like a I'm back type moment, like you did something that you used to do before the injury and, you know, you remembered it feeling that way or something like that?
Not necessarily one moment. I think it, you know, kind of just a mixture of things, you know, just being back out there, being at full go is, you know, was the whole goal. Getting back to, you know, being able to play, I think was the entire thing that I was trying to do. So, there wasn't one particular moment. I think just being out there every single day is great.
Vance, what do you look to do differently, keep the same, and then improve this spring season?
You know, what I want to improve is the aggression factor in the box. I think, you know, swinging at good pitches early, and then, you know, do the same, continue to be, you know, that the loose, energetic guy, and then do differently would be kind of have a better approach, a better mindset, better mental throughout this year.
Anything else for Vance?
To be announced and to accept the role as a captain on the squad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's an honor. It's something that I take a lot of pride in, and I think, you know, obviously nothing changes after we get named that. We got a bunch of leaders on this team, and, you know, it's not just me and Jake Knapp doing that. And I think that's one of our team's biggest strengths. We got a lot of experience, obviously a lot of new guys too. But I can speak for the both of us, me and Jake Knapp, that it's an honor and it's something that we both take a lot of pride in.
So it sounds like you might play a lot of third base. What's your feelings on that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening. I've been getting a lot of reps there. I think I've played a lot of middle infield in my career. Not a bunch of third, so as of right now, it's kind of a matter of just getting reps there. Like I said, come season, not exactly sure what that's going to look like. I wouldn't be surprised if I mix in at both spots.
Can you talk about the freshman pitchers and give us sort of scouting report, say, like on Folger Buzz?
Yeah, I know it's been said before, but this is an unbelievably talented group of freshman arms. Pretty much top to bottom, every guy has that stuff. Folger is a guy who's just, a mature kid for that age. He goes up there and you can see that in the way that he throws. He's got a lot of confidence, which is, that's a big part of being a young guy in this conference at this level of baseball. You got to have, and I think that's kind of the commonality between a lot of those guys. Is they go up there and they know they're really good.
Can you give a scouting report on that?
Yeah, so not to get ultra specific, but a lot of so it was a lot of lower half stuff, and I got into a lot of mobility stuff when I was here my sophomore during the season, and over summer we were playing every day. I got away from it a little bit, and I noticed that in the box my hips weren't really moving the way I wanted to. There's a lot of shifting going on, and when you're facing guys that throw harder in the cape, you don't want to be closing distance. So I got back into mobility stuff. I want to make sure my hips were moving the right way, and that kind of stood out for me because it's a whole pitch decision type of thing. If you have more time to make a decision, you're going to hit better. So I realized I was closing distance, and that was one of the adjustments I made, making sure my hips were moving the right way.
Now you heard from a pretty good source that you might move down to the infield in the fall. And now it sounds like it's a real thing. Just sort of talk us through that.
Yeah, I've played there my whole life, so it's not completely foreign to me, but I enjoy it. I always had fun playing infield. I played shortstop in high school, so playing second base, it's not crazy. The college level is a jump from high school, but I've been enjoying it. I've been having a good time. It's been going well.
So is there a college preference, or is it just whatever to help the team? I know whatever to help the team is the stock answer, but where does Casey Cook play?
Yeah. I don't know. In terms of being, I've always liked playing infield. I just think you're a little more involved in the game, more plays. So who wouldn't want that? I love playing the infield. So.
No stealing home runs though.
No, you can't do that. not in the infield. No.
So, just sort of talk about the lineup. You've got a lot of new guys. And with the transfers in, there's going to be guys that played a lot last year that may not play. Just sort of speak to the competition level you guys got going on.
Yeah. We saw it all fall. I think it's good for us because you can't be complacent now. You got, when we're 2 to 3 deep at every spot, you can't really take days off. And I think that ultimately will push us. But yeah, we'll see guys that played every single day, and then this year they're maybe not see as many innings. So it's different, but in terms of what we've always wanted to do and have the best run in the national championship, that's how it's going to look. So the best teams are.
What have you seen from Alex and Parks and those guys that have come in? They're new, they're vets, but they're new. Their mental approach, and how's that helped the team?
Yeah. It's different to see guys like that because they are new. They're transferred their first years here at UNC, but
you can tell just from maturity standpoint they're above some other kids, like typically freshmen that come in because they've done it before. They've played 60-game long seasons. You know, they've been through it all. So you can tell that this group we have is just a bunch of mature older kids, and I think that's good because the freshmen can feed off that too. They see what it looks like.
Casey, go ahead. Last year was kind of, I would say, like the Casey Cup coming out party since you were hurt your true freshman season. Do you feel any pressure to kind of follow up last season? I mean, you have a UNC record now with 44 consecutive safely reached bases as a freshman. Do you feel any pressure to follow that up?
No, I mean, when you're surrounded by like we got Vance, you know, new guys coming in, and we got Jackson over there. It takes the pressure off because you don't have to do everything. You just got to do what your part is, and for me, that will never be. I mean, as recently, I won't be hitting most home runs on team. You know, I've always been like more of a pure hitter type, so I'll just keep doing my thing and let the other guys do their thing. Hopefully, it works together.
But the defenses, you think the defense will be improved from last year up the middle and just all over the field?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. We still don't know what it's going to look like exactly defensively, but I think we have a lot of good options at every spot. So yeah, I would say I'm pretty confident in our defense.
Casey, at the end of the day, there's only 10 starting spots on the diamond. How, with a roster this deep, how do you keep the competition still going and still fierce for those spots while keeping the chemistry intact?
Yeah, I think that just goes with you. Everyone has to understand that it's nothing personal. We're all fighting for the same thing. We're all here for the same reason, and if you keep that the main vision, then I think that's the way you have good chemistry and you work well together, even though you're competing with each other. Because it's not our choice. You're not saying I don't want you to play. I want to play. But at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do. That's what we got recruited to do. So that's if we have our eyes set straight on our ultimate goal of just winning games, that's the way we'll mesh correctly. The way we want.
Seeing Knapp and Vandy named captains
is awesome. Yeah, it's cool to see two guys that actually came in, transferred too, because you don't see that much. Guys that have made such a big impact coming from a different school. So yeah, it's really cool to see.